Now, the Hunt Palmer Show.
A magic beyond anything you could ever imagine.
You are now listening to the Hunt Palmer Show. Brought to you by Sagrera Farms on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Locking down the middle of the day.
You really think that's the best idea?
Live from the Raising Cane studio. This is Hunt Palmer.
It's quite a piece of work.
Hour 2, Thursday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Sagrera Farms Premium Angus Beef. We'll talk to Chris Blair. A little bit of hoops, a little bit of football coming up in 15 minutes. Looking forward to that conversation. I'm considering a 2:30 segment. It's percolating. I've got that open for some transfer portal news, and there is some. CJ Jackson just went in the portal. So I didn't want to lock myself into anything there. I'm considering a segment. We'll see how things go over the next 30 minutes. We'll cross that bridge when we get to it. But for right now, I want to talk LSU football. And I want to talk about something we all knew was coming. We all knew once LSU walked off that field in the Texas Bowl, which feels like 6 years ago, that LSU is now in a position where they had one quarterback on the roster that was not guaranteed to be there in the spring. And it turns out Michael Van Buren got in the portal. He just committed to South Florida?
Yeah, UCF.
Central Florida or South Florida?
USF.
South Florida,
yes,
yeah.
yes.
Either one. One of the two. One of the two huge schools in Orlando or Tampa. One of the ones over there, he's going. So LSU, as it sits right now, has no quarterbacks. None, zero, nada, zilch. Goose egg in the quarterback department. So you got to figure that out. Now, it starts with your prospective starter. That's the guy you're going to spend the big bucks on. That's the guy you're going to bring in with essentially assurances he will be the guy. They've been shopping that. You had Sorsby come in. You had Levitt come in. You're courting Williams. Rayola's out there somewhere. Seems like Lagway's going to Baylor. They're going to find somebody to throw $4 million at to bring to Baton Rouge. You want to say that's going to be Williams from Washington? Sure. You want to say that's somebody else down the line? Whatever. I'm not concerned in this discussion who it is. I just know what it is. It's the starting quarterback's going to get a lot of money. And then the challenge comes in of finding depth at that position with essentially assurances you're not going to start. Like, where are you going to find the guy to come in and say, hey, I know you're in this massive money-making portion of your life. College, for most of these guys, like, is it fair to say that most of the quarterbacks across the Power 5 are going to make more money in college than they do in the NFL? Most of them will, because most of them aren't going to sign a huge rookie NFL contract, and most of them are not, certainly most of them, are not going to sign a second NFL contract that makes a ton of money. Like, most of these guys are in a 4 to 5 year window where they've got to make 6 figures or 7 figures to be on a college football team. That's a huge earning portion of their lifetime. And you have to tell somebody in that window, hey, come over here and probably don't play. So we'll give you this amount of money. I don't know what that is. And you're not really going to be able to show anybody that you're that good this year or that you've made improvements this year. And I can't promise what you're going to get next year. Like, that's a hard sell. So you got to find a place to find a player like that. I thought it was impressive last year that LSU was able to go get Michael Van Buren, who had proven, they didn't win any games, but he started SEC games. He threw for 300 yards against Georgia. Like, he was a true freshman. He was a competent SEC quarterback as a true freshman, and LSU got him to come here as a backup. Like, we got Nussmeier. He threw for 4,000. Come over here, back him up. And if everything goes to plan, you'll sit on the bench all year, show nobody anything additional, and perhaps limit your ability to earn next year. Now, maybe you come to us, you show us in practice you can play, we give you some mop-up duty, we think we're going to be really good, we sit Nussmeier down for a little bit of that, you show us you're going to be good, and we renegotiate that contract next year, and maybe you make a lot of money from us. But still, that's a hard sell. There's a lot of variables there. And LSU was able to do that with Michael Van Buren. Well, now LSU's got to do it again, very likely. And so where do you go for that player, or really those players? Because you're telling me you're going to go into this year with 2 scholarship quarterbacks? I don't think so. Like, I've never seen an LSU team go into a season with two scholarship quarterbacks. So we found out today, based on his Twitter account, and we confirmed at LouisianaSports.net, that LSU is looking at junior college ranks for depth at quarterback. Trey Guerra or Guerra, I couldn't find it. It's Guerra. I'm going to go with Guerra. Could be Guerra, but I'll go with Guerra. Is the quarterback at Tyler Junior College. He's been there for a couple of years. 24/7 Sports has a junior college rankings. They rank him the number 2 quarterback in the class for the junior college ranks. In 2 years, as the primary starter for only one of those, 3,800 passing yards, 29 touchdowns. Big number coming here. 16 interceptions. He threw 14 interceptions this year at the junior college level. But he's 6'2". He's 200 pounds. He's a pretty good athlete. He threw for a ton of yards at Tyler Junior College. And he's been offered by LSU. He's been offered by Florida State. He's been offered by Arkansas. He's been offered by Texas Tech. It looks like he's going to make the jump to the Power 5, and LSU is potentially in the mix. So I think this is creative. I think it's a reasonable move. I don't think you can go get 2 guys with Power 5 starting experience or FBS starting experience that are just chomping at the bit to come here. I think LSU can compete with almost anybody for one guy. Maybe they got outbid for Sorsby. Maybe the fact that his girlfriend was there was a big factor too. I don't know. But I think they could have paid Sam Leavitt. I think that if they get Demond Williams, it'll be because they paid. They have the resources to pay for the big boy. Where are the resources for the next guy? And this is creative. And before you jump out over your skis, because this is what everybody really likes to do, Lane Kiffin's not going to make a career at LSU off of grabbing Trinidad Chamblises from JUCO and D2. That's not a sustainable model. I'm not suggesting it's impossible for him to find another diamond in the rough. I think he's brilliant with quarterbacks, brilliant with play calling, makes things very advantageous for his quarterbacks. But you can't go, quote-unquote, dumpster diving, and I don't mean that to denigrate, but like most of the big-time programs are not going to D2 for their quarterbacks, okay? I would call that as a metaphor like dumpster diving. That's not how you're going to do it. And those of you that are jumping immediately on every quarterback that LSU might have entertained, and those of you that are suggesting that LSU doesn't need to get Sam Leavitt or need to get Demond Williams, because, I mean, look what he did with Trinidad Chambliss. Just go find another one of those. That's very difficult to do. And candidly, like, it can't be done every year. I don't think there's a D2 quarterback every single year that could come in and take over a CFP game against Georgia. That's just not realistic. Yes, there are guys, there are Tony Romos and Kurt Warners. There are guys, Ben Roethlisberger's from a lower level and Josh Allen's, and there are those guys. They don't come around every year. You're not going to make it a sustainable model to make that happen. But if you can land Demond Williams and you can land a big-time quarterback and you can get a JUCO guy and maybe a guy with some upside from the group of 5 or even the FCS, like that may be how you have to cobble this thing together and just hope your quarterback stays healthy. Because I don't know how realistic grabbing 2 high-profile portal quarterbacks is. I haven't seen teams do that significantly. So I think this is a quality place to look, and I think it's just a flimsy insurance policy. You're not going to be made whole if you get Demond Williams and he gets hurt and you got to plug in a JUCO quarterback who threw a bunch of interceptions last year but a bunch of yards. Like you're not made whole from insurance policy there, but you get paid back something. You got somebody there that can play. And so I'm fully supporting this. I think it's a good idea. I hope that LSU can land him. Sounds like he's got some options. I don't know what the visit schedule looks like, but this is something that we saw on Twitter. We checked out, and that looks like that's the direction LSU is going to look for what I believe to be its second or third team quarterback, and that is Trey Guerra from Tyler Junior College, who tweeted out that the old Toonces logo said offered by LSU. We'll see if he has his stats. 15-2 as a starter in 2 seasons, 11-1 this past year. These are his statistics. I did not look this up, but he said number 1 in completions in JUCO, number 2 in passing yards, number 3 in passing touchdowns. I watched a little bit of the tape. Pretty good athlete, pretty good arm, not great size, but decent size. If it's a backup, I think it's a good idea. So that's Trey Guerra from Tyler Junior College. All right, we'll talk some hoops and certainly some football with Chris Blair, voice of the Tigers, when we come back.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Swing Easy Golf Club in Baton Rouge. SwingEasyGCBR.com is the website. Want to go play some golf, but you find that 5 hours is too much time to invest. You find that it's hard to get a tee time, lack of public courses maybe. You find that you're holding up the course because you're a beginner. You find that, it's rainy or it's cold or it's wet. You find there's just too many obstacles to get out there and play 18 holes of golf. Try something new. Try Swing Easy Golf Club. You go in there, you get your own private bay with a simulator, and you can play one of the most historic courses in the country, one of the most historic courses in the world. Go over to Troon and play where they play the Open Championship. And I've played on these. I've played a lot of golf in my life. I've played on the golf simulator. It's fun. Is it exactly the same? No. But you hit your drive, and it knows what's going on. You hit your second shot, and it knows whether you've hit a good one or not. You can chip and putt as well. You can post a score, compete with your friends, drink a couple of beers, put the music on, put some football on the TV. It's a lot of fun. Go by and see them. If you've never played simulator golf, just give it a shot. Could be a scratch player. Could be someone that just picked up the game. It's a different way to approach the game of golf. Swing Easy Golf Club. It's on Seagan near Perkins, back in the strip mall all the way to the right side. Easy to see. Great place to hang out. Go see them this weekend. Swing Easy Golf Club in Baton Rouge online. SwingEasyGCBR.com.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Sagrera Farms.
Sagrera Farms Premium Angus Beef. Looking for fillets, ribeyes, strips, flank steaks, chuck roasts, ground beef. They got it all at Sagrera Farms, and it is all prime. Some of the best beef you'll find in the country, just north of Baton Rouge here at Sagrera Farms. They bring you our Thursday shows. Chris Blair is the voice of the Tigers. Joins us on Thursdays. Gives us some time now on the Jim's Farms hotline. Chris, how are you, sir?
I'm great, hon. Hope you're doing well, and hope 2026 is off to a good start.
It certainly is. LSU doesn't seem to get off to a good start on defense on the basketball court as often as I would like. Is there anything that you can do from press row to stop teams from going 7 for 7 from three right out of the gate?
No, I thought about it, but I don't think my defense is going to help much anymore. It was certainly, something to behold. I mean, it was kind of interesting. I know it doesn't make anybody happy that pulls for LSU, but you come off a game against Texas A&M, who has that controlled chaos buckyball under Coach McMillan, where they're trying their best to put 30 or 35 threes up, and they're hoping, they hit 35%. They're probably en route to victory. We saw a little bit of that in the nail biter against Auburn the other night. And then you come into South Carolina, a team that really, for the most part, when you look at the SEC and non-conference, you thought maybe they struggle at times to produce offense. In their 5 losses, they certainly had struggled to produce offense, and suddenly they come in and can't miss for the first, 6-7 minutes of the first half. And suddenly you dig yourself in a big hole. I thought LSU played really good defense against Texas A&M. I did not think they played very good defense in the first 10, 12 minutes of the first half against the South Carolina team that, frankly, I thought you get a performance like you did in Bryan College Station from a defensive standpoint, and then the offense just does what you normally do. I saw LSU pulling away in that one. So it goes to show you what I know.
What do they need to do with DJ Thomas out? I know in the second half, a lot of the onus was not on Jalen Reese. He was out, and they actually went to a bigger lineup. So how do you think they're going to try to create offense without their facilitator out there? Rashad King was running the point for most of the second half on Tuesday.
Well, I think they've got even a bigger problem than that, Hunt, to be honest with you. I mean, I like to be honest, in conference play, I think Jalen Reese has got a lot of great upside, and I think he played well in his first start at Texas A&M. I know everything gets magnified in that final 3 or 4 minutes where he had a couple of big turnovers in the back court, but I mean, he only had 3 turnovers on the day and had 7 assists, and for a first start in the SEC as a true freshman, frankly, I'll take that. But I think moving forward, I think you got to go with Rashad King, and a lot of that is just because of his game experience. Now, obviously, he's new to the SEC, and there's going to be a learning curve there, but he's got a little bigger size. He can probably match up a little better physically with at least some of the point guards they're going to see without question coming up on Saturday. But he's going to have to improve defensively. But I think you're going to have to use both of those guys. But I get a little nervous, when you're taking on a team. For my money, I said preseason that Vanderbilt was the best team in the league, and so far they've lived up to it, including last night's win against Alabama. I like Rashad King getting minutes, but I think you're going to better yourself as a team as this season gets deeper when Jalen Reese is getting that experience on the job.
You've got some experience with Mark Byington, who's Vanderbilt's head coach. You obviously called this, you said before things started, so you're not surprised that he's got this thing humming in year number 2?
No, I mean, when I was at Georgia Southern with him, he was there 7 years, I believe, and I worked with him for 5. And he made chicken stew out of chicken, what. And that's no disrespect to Georgia Southern. It's just a program that A, doesn't have a large athletic budget, and B, what they do have, not a lot of it goes to men's basketball. And I could tell then that he was a grinder. He was a worker. He was a great offensive mind. Came up under Bobby Crimmins, and Bobby Crimmins, for those who remember, certainly knew how to put some offense together. And now that he's at Vanderbilt and the Commodores, just like in football, have decided, you know what, we're going to put money into this program. They were one of the leaders last year when it comes to NIL money and a roster, which I know surprised a lot of people, but that's the facts. And they've only built on it this year. And you can look at their individual stars so far this year and figure out, yeah, they've got it going in the right direction. So now it's just a matter of him being able to get that type of athlete, whether it be through the portal, whether it be developing 2 or 3 true freshmen every year. But he's an excellent coach. And I just read an article earlier today. He's quickly becoming the SEC coaching superstar. And I think that bothered a guy in Tuscaloosa a little bit this week.
I hate to hear that. Hate to hear that Coach Oates is bothered. I never want to have that. That's very disappointing. I'm curious, LSU, from a football perspective, has prioritized some of their younger players, and you're going to get Harlan Berry, Trey'Dez Green, DJ Pickett back on this football team next year. How big a deal is that for Lane Kiffin in year 1?
Yeah, I think it's good. I mean, I think that's the skill positions that you felt like had proven themselves already, with a lot, again, ceiling ahead of them. And again, I think, when Coach Kiffin comes in and looks at the players that he wants to keep, and then we early find out in this process that those are the names that right now are staying at LSU. I mean, I think that tells you what Coach Kiffin, realizes, having seen those guys on the other side of the field, and also being around them a little bit as people now that he's here in Baton Rouge. So I think that's good. I mean, now you got to go find some more skilled players, obviously, and we've seen a couple of names over the last couple of days in that department. And then you got to go find some guys who fit the program and who are going to fit in what you're trying to do, both offensively and defensively. And I think that's the other asset of keeping Coach Baker and a number of these defensive coaches. I mean, let's all be honest now. Are we where we want to be defensively? Probably not. But are we light years ahead of where we were a year ago and 2 years ago? I would say yes. I think by keeping some of those core offensive guys and then being able to go backfill out of the portal, which, again, I think Coach Kiffin and his staff are just getting warmed up with a little more time left. I know there were some that thought maybe they didn't come out of the gate too strong, but that's not the point. The point is, how do you finish?
I was kind of done with portal talk when I went on my run this morning, so I said, let me fire up Kentucky's post-game show from basketball last night. Now you've got some contacts on the Bluegrass. How are the vibes there with a 9-6 basketball team?
Well, I'm sure everybody out there listening understands that they do pay very close attention to the basketball program there in the Commonwealth State. And I didn't see a lot of the game last night. I saw a little bit of the second half after I got home. Watched all of the Alabama-Vanderbilt game, but my phone was absolutely blowing up. And I will tell you that already a year and I guess technically half, they're ready to send Mark Pope packing, which is, again, crazy and wild. I know that sounds strange, not only because he's only been there a year and a half and that he was a much beloved player there years ago under Coach Pitino, but I think it's the way that Kentucky looks so discombobulated. They look like they're fighting each other at times. There were a couple of times last night Missouri was flying up and down the floor, and as if Kentucky's players didn't really know the dimensions of the court or where they were supposed to be, or that you need to be under the basket to defend. And so, it's they're not very happy up there in the Commonwealth right now.
Need to get Kalen DeBoer and Mark Pope hooked up on a group text and let them just communicate back and forth, because it seems like they're in pretty similar boats in Lexington and Tuscaloosa.
Oh, their body language looks very similar, I'll tell you that.
All right, Chris, safe travels up to Nashville, and we'll talk next week.
You got it.
That's Chris Blair, the voice of the Tigers. LSU and Vanderbilt from Nashville coming up on Saturday. Vanderbilt's really good. They are very, very good. They outran Alabama, outshot Alabama, outplayed Alabama last night, and Bama's really good. So it's a really good roster. Byington's a really good coach, and they're probably the best team in the league. I think last night probably proves they're the best team in the league right now. It doesn't mean they'll be the best team in the league when the middle of March comes around, but they're serious, and that's why I told y'all, like, Tuesday was so important for LSU to get a win before you go to Nashville and take on that Vanderbilt team, because I don't think they're going to beat Vanderbilt. Now, I feel a little bit differently about Kentucky today than I did yesterday when I talked about the LSU-South Carolina game, because Kentucky lost at Rupp to Missouri, who I think is fine, but they're not really good, and Missouri was down 8 with 4 minutes to go and outscored them 12-2 or something, 15-2 the rest of the way. Kentucky, as I mentioned, 9-6 and is a little bit discombobulated. That game is in the PMAC, so maybe if De'Don Thomas comes back, maybe you are a little bit. You can compete with Kentucky. I don't know, but it's not. I wasn't concerned with Kentucky when they lost to Bama. That's going to happen. It's in Tuscaloosa, full house. You lose that game, it happens. Most teams are going to go to Tuscaloosa and lose. You lose to Missouri at Rupp. I feel differently about that now. Because like I told you in the end of the first hour, like Kentucky's got a bunch of losses to Gonzaga and Louisville and really good teams. North Carolina, they lose to Bama, okay. Missouri, not in that class. So maybe that's a good sign for LSU coming up next Wednesday. I'll be in the PMAC for that one. Hopefully LSU can play pretty well, but I don't think LSU's going to win on Saturday. That's my early pick on that one. We'll talk about it a little bit tomorrow. LSU has had 2 defensive linemen go into the transfer portal in the last hour and a half. I will tell you who those 2 are and kind of reset things from a portal perspective moving forward. Do all that when we come back on this Thursday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Marucci here in Baton Rouge, the official bat of Major League Baseball. Incredible story. Started in a backyard shed in 2004. Now, 22 years later, official bat of Major League Baseball. They make 1,200 of them a day. If you're looking for something to do in Baton Rouge and you've done all the traditional sights and sounds, taking the kids to see Mike the Tiger or go over to Blue Bayou or whatever the case, maybe how about you schedule a tour, go check out Marucci. Go see where they make 1,200 bats a day. And it's not just going to see where they make the bats. You can go in there and take some hacks in the cage. Got a young baseball player, got a young softball player, got a young baseball team that your son is a part of, a young softball team that your daughter's a part of. Take the team over there to tour the facility and take some hacks. They'd love to have you over there at Marucci. You can get the campus tour at maruccisports.com. Click on campus tour there on the website. They would love to have you for a big group, individually, have a team building event there for your office. Whatever the case may be, Marucci would love to have you there. It's a really cool gym that we've got here in Baton Rouge, and if you hadn't seen it, it's worth your time. Go check them out at Marucci. They're online at maruccisports.com.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Sagrera Farms.
Shout out to the folks at the Howard Insurance Group. Jonathan Carbo and his team at the Howard Insurance Group. Just awesome people to work with in the insurance game. Whether you're looking for commercial property and casualty insurance, the Howard Insurance Group's got you. You're looking for a group or employee benefits broker, Howard Insurance Group got you covered. Think of them as a consultant. Don't think of them as a sales team. Somebody just trying to take advantage of you for a commission. The Howard Insurance Group, they want to be part of your team. Your attorney is part of your team. Your CPA is part of your team. Let your insurance broker be a part of your team. Make sure you're protected. When I say insurance, when I was in the business for 7 years, or whether I say it now, immediately the first thing that comes to most people's mind is premium, premium, premium. And certainly the Howland Insurance Group knows that. And they're going to take care of you from that perspective. They're going to make sure they shop and you get the right premium. But they also are going to prioritize the coverage. Because you don't know when that cyber attack is going to happen because your employee clicked an email he or she was not supposed to click. You don't know when that company car is going to get into that accident. You don't know when that hurricane is going to come through. Do you have the right business interruption coverage? Is your property valued correctly? Is there a co-insurance penalty that's going to hamper your ability to collect on that? These are things that you've got to have sewed up before the event happens. And the Howard Insurance Group will make sure that happens for your business. If you're an owner, CFO, risk manager, someone who is handling the insurance program, let the Howard Insurance Group make sure you're all buttoned up. If you're looking for a second set of eyes, they can help you out with that. It's Jonathan Carbo and his team at the Highland Insurance Group here in Baton Rouge. Help you out statewide. They're online at highlandig.com. We have got a tracker up at louisianasports.net. It's stayed on the homepage now all week, and it is just updating you on players that have announced they're staying, which there are a handful of those. It has announced the portal entrance. It has announced the portal additions that LSU has made. Plus, we've got a list of reported visitors and offers as well. So if you're just looking for somewhere to try to make sense of all this, you can do that over at louisianasports.net for free. What has happened over the last 2 hours has been that 2 LSU defensive linemen have entered the transfer portal. We saw right before I went on the air, Walter Buddy Mathis, after a really nice freshman year, jumped in the transfer portal. And then just 20 minutes ago, we got word that C.J. Jackson, edge rusher who just finished his freshman year, is headed into the portal as well. And this is not stunning news. It's not stunning news when anyone enters the transfer portal. Anyone can. There's money to be had, negotiations to be made. And so it's rampant. Like, it just is the rule. It's the way that it is. But it's puzzling to me as I look at it from a big picture perspective. This is really not an LSU thing. It's just a common sense thing. It's like, well, you had X amount of defensive linemen. You actually had some really good numbers there. Well, you Kyle Williams moves on. Okay, you got a new head coaching staff. Okay. So you look at your numbers, and LSU needs to restock those shelves a little bit. So they go get Stephylon Green. They go get Malik Blockton. Those 2 guys on the defensive interior to go along with Dominic McKinley and Buddy Mathis, Brandon Brown, Sean Washington. And then Buddy Mathis goes in the portal after you get those 2 guys. And then you go to the edge and you add Jalen Brown, guy that had been at Missouri, been at South Carolina, had a relationship with Sterling Lucas at South Carolina, comes to LSU, and you pair him with Gabe Relaford and C.J. Jackson and Damian Shanklin and Dylan Carpenter, and you're just now kind of getting to the point where you've got enough numbers on the defensive front. That was going to be a total of 6 defensive tackles. You had 5 edge rushers. You had 4 freshmen coming in. That's 15 guys. It's not enough, but it's you're getting close. And then right when you bring in 3 guys from the defensive front from Clemson, Auburn, and South Carolina, 2 of your young players see that and bolt. And it's like, well, I guess you get back after it and keep getting guys back in the portal. There's 4,000 of them. Just keep going. And I guess that's the way you have to handle things at this point. It's difficult. And I know that there are so many polarizing opinions on this topic. There are so many people that say this is ruined football. There are so many people that say we need to find some regulations. There are so many people that say, hey, let the players transfer. It's been great to a lot of different people, a lot of different players. These coaches make millions of dollars. They'll figure it out. And I've got my thoughts on it, and I'll probably save them for another day. I don't think this is the time and place for the whole dissertation on how I feel about the entire situation of not just football, but collegiate athletics as a whole. I will say, just in terms of LSU, because y'all know how I always feel about things. I always talk about how it affects LSU. Like, I do know that the transfer portal is going to help LSU more than it hurts LSU. LSU's a huge brand with tons of money. There are plenty of schools who you get a player that plays really well and wins games, you look around and go, well, don't play too well because then you're going to leave. Like, LSU doesn't generally have to worry about that. I mean, who was the last guy that was a star at LSU that bolted? Doesn't happen very often. But I do look at it and go, man, it's 236 right now, almost 237. And at 103, I did a segment about LSU's defensive line depth based on the 3 additions they had made in the last 24 hours. And now 90 minutes later, that whole segment is silly because 2 of the guys that I had penciled in here is really probably key pieces. Like, Buddy Mathis had a really good freshman year, relatively speaking. He was not one of LSU's highly thought of defensive line freshmen. But he did play. He played early. He played often. You had Bernard Gooden, and you had Jacobian Guillory, and you had Dominic McKinley, and you had Ahmad Bro, and you had Sean Washington, and you had older guys in front of him, and he got to the field quickly. C.J. Jackson's talented dude, edge rusher, long arms, and yeah, they brought in Patrick Payton and Jamari Butler, and they brought in Jack Pyburn, and they had I can't think of the name, Gabe Relaford, just vanished. Like, it was going to be tough to get to the field, but then they got to the Texas Bowl, and he played a lot because all those guys left. And you figure that that's a guy that's going to enter in. Like, of that group, the defensive line group that I'm looking at, and I'll go interior to exterior. Don McKinley, Stephylon Green, Malik Blockton, I'll include the guys who transferred out. Buddy Mathis, Brandon Brown, Sean Washington on the inside, 6 guys, plus Lamar Brown, Richard Anderson, Deuce Geralds. So you're talking about 9 guys on the interior. Then on the edge, Relaford, Jalen Brown, and they just got C.J. Jackson, Damian Shanklin, Dylan Carpenter, Trenton Henderson. Well, that's 6 guys right there. I couldn't confidently rubber stamp one of those guys as a starter for sure against Clemson. So to me, that feels like good competition. And I did a segment at the top of the show like, hey, I don't know if you got any stars here, but your depth is getting better. And you've got a lot of guys who have proven themselves they can play in the Southeastern Conference. And so you're restocking the shelves. And so I think it's reasonable to suggest that there's playing time to be had. I can only analyze that. I can only analyze the playing time. I cannot analyze the money that's being offered. And I won't know what the guys who leave get. I won't know whenever Buddy Mathis leaves what he'll get. And I don't even know if Buddy Mathis will leave. Deshaun Spears said he was hopping in the transfer portal. Blake Baker went and talked to him, and an hour later he was out of the transfer portal. Like, that's the other side of this thing. Like, I think Buddy Mathis is leaving. I think C.J. Jackson's leaving. They said they're leaving. They might come back if they didn't like what they hear and they go in the transfer portal, and then LSU comes back to the table and says, hey, we do have some more money. Don't leave. Like, here's this. But I'll never know if that happens. And I won't know what they signed for elsewhere. And I don't know what Stephylon Green got. And I don't know what Malik Blockton got. And I don't know what C.J. Jackson wants. And I don't know what Jalen Brown got. And it's just, all I can do is analyze the depth chart. I might nail it. I might be way off. But that's all I can give you. So it's just turnstiles is what it is. And it feels like every time 2 come in, well, somebody looks up and goes, wait a second. 2 more came into my position. I'm out. That's what it feels like. I can't prove it. I can't point to that being absolutely the case, but that's what it felt like over the last 90 minutes. Like, there were plenty of guys who announced they were going to the transfer portal in December. Plenty of guys who, once that portal opened, hopped right in. And then you get to a week later, and we're a week later from the transfer portal opening, and now you got guys going in. It's like, feels like that's just a response to a player coming at your position. Again, I can't prove it, but it just feels like that's what it is. So that's where you stand. Jalen Brown, Malik Blockton, Stephylon Green coming in, Buddy Mathis, C.J. Jackson going out. Before we get to take it or leave it in our final segment, did want to touch on this briefly. LSU preseason #1 in the nation. Perfect Game came out with their preseason rankings for college baseball, which practice starts up in just a couple of days. They can have full squad workouts here coming up this weekend, and certainly will. LSU's first game just 5.5 weeks away. And I think the ranking is probably reasonable. I can't claim to know everybody that Georgia Tech's got. I don't know everybody that UCLA's got. I got a reasonable handle on their lineup because I did the game on the radio when LSU played them up in Omaha. I know that Mississippi State essentially took a decent SEC team and then a underachieving but talented ACC team in Virginia and merged them and should be good. I know Arkansas' schedule is criminally easy and they'll probably be pretty good. I know Texas A&M's got some talent. I know Texas has got a lot of talent. But LSU's a pretty safe bet as the preseason #1. You've got a coach that's proven to recruit, to evaluate, recruit, and develop and win. You've got a guy coming back as the #1 pitcher who had a monster freshman season. You've got a lot of talent on the offense that is absolutely proven. You know what Derek Curiel is. You know what Chris Stanfield is. You know what Stephen Milam is. You know what Jake Brown is. You got some exciting transfers. Y'all know what the baseball team looks like for the most part. And the amount of talent on the pitching staff, while with unproven roles, is is big time. You've got 2 of their last 3 national championships. Yeah, it's reasonable to put them as preseason number 1. Oftentimes, I point to these rankings and I go, yeah, the purple and gold hat usually carries a lot of weight. It's just a safe thing to do. This time, there's a little bit more substance behind that because you didn't lose everything. You got all your outfielders back. You've got 2 of your better pitchers from last year. Not Anthony Einson and Kate Anderson, but Cowan and Evans were monster for you last year. You've got tons of talent that's come in, that's in the bullpen, and you've got exciting transfers. So I think LSU's probably a fair bet at preseason number 1. I'm not quite as high on UCLA as everybody in the postseason because I watched them and I didn't think they were terrifying offensively talented, and I thought their pitching staff was really underwhelming in Omaha. Just a bunch of what looked to be average stuff dudes that they just shuffled through a ton. Didn't have an ace, didn't have a true number 2. It just looked like a bunch of guys. But their offense that was all sophomores last year, that's all juniors now, and they added a couple guys in the portal, should be pretty good. I think but I think LSU's deserving of the number 1 preseason rank. I know all of you that are listening going, well, obviously we won 2 of the last 3 championships. We got Jay Johnson. Yeah, but I'm here to give my opinion, and I think it's a positive one. I think LSU does deserve that. I have my questions. Depth in the starting rotation. Evans is a full-time Friday guy. Is there enough power? I mean, I have some questions, but not a lot. I don't have a lot of questions. I have a lot of knowns. I have a lot of confidence. I don't have a lot of questions. I think preseason number 1 is well warranted for Jay Johnson as his team. He would probably dismiss it pretty quickly. I know what Paul Maneri would say. I'd rather be preseason number 1 than preseason 104th. Means I probably got a pretty good team, but Jay will probably dismiss all of that. They'll get to cranking this weekend, and very much looking forward to LSU baseball, and we'll start talking about it probably a little bit more. I'd say in about 3 weeks more. I'm going to go out there and see him a little bit to cleanse the palate from what's going on in the rest of LSU sports over the last week. But I'm looking forward to it. That's safe to say. We'll come back and close it out next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
One Bath and Closets. OneBathAndClosets.com is the website. David Duvall and his team, 30 years redesigning and remodeling bathrooms and closets. It's actually more than 30 years now because I've been saying 30 years for like 2 years. It's been a while. 3 decades plus for David Duvall. And safety is a big deal, especially as folks age and they are in the bathroom because there are hazardous situations that can present themselves. You can't take that away. You can't eliminate it. But you can mitigate against it with non-slip floors, with guardrails, handrails, and slippery areas, walk-in tubs for convenience, safety, comfort, showers with benches to lessen the risk of slipping and falling. If there's someone in your life that's aging, there's someone that you love, and you want to mitigate against some of that risk, but you maybe haven't given that thought, do so. Contact David Duvall. Go to onebathandclosets.com and have that free consultation. Just have a sit-down. That doesn't cost you anything. David will tell you what they can do, and if you look for financing, they've got it. 0% up to 18 months, same as cash. It's One Bath and Closets. Check them out online, onebathandclosets.com.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Sagrera Farms.
I just saw a video from Glendale where they'll play the Fiesta Bowl tonight. It is 20 degrees warmer in Baton Rouge, Louisiana than Scottsdale, Arizona right now.
I would have never guessed that.
20 degrees, 61 and raining there, 78 here.
I didn't even know it rained in Arizona. It feels like it's always hot.
It is. Well, I thought. Well, it's not today, but they'll be under the roof tonight. I didn't get a prediction for you on that game, by the way.
Oh, yeah, no, I told you. Ain't really prediction. I'm just going to come out and say it. Look, Miami, I need punch them in the mouth. Go ahead. Suffocate them, strangle them. You got 2 top 10 picks at the end. I'm looking at if there's the only way I see Miami winning the game would have to be just a nasty game. So I'm going to say 13 to – yeah, it's got to be like 13 to – it's got to be super low. So I'll say 17-13 Miami. Like, it's got to be nasty.
If they Ole Miss to 13
points.
It's
going to have to be something crazy, huh?
I mean,
you know if Ole Miss scores over 25 points, that Miami's in trouble. Because you don't want Beck throwing the ball around late in the game.
Here's what I want. I want Georgia to beat them is what I want.
We all did.
I went into the Dome. What day was that? Thursday last week.
Thursday last week.
A week ago. And I was like, this is awesome. Like, LSU's had some great moments. I love being an LSU fan. I'm confident, comfortable with my team. A lot of highs, some lows.
But Georgia's just the gold standard right now. They win all the time. They beat everybody. They win the SEC every year. Like, I mean, I get to be a Georgia fan tonight. This is great. I'm going to win. Definitely.
I'm gonna win.
Where's the beer stand? This is awesome. And they freaking lost.
Yeah. I'll never forget that Trinidad Chandler scramble when he dropped that dime to, I don't know who the receiver was, but that dime over the shoulder. I'm just like, yeah.
Thankfully, I had my double scotch that I had gotten at the end of the third quarter when they cut off alcohol sales, which helped a little bit with that, but not necessarily enough. They lost. Just, I cannot. I've said it 50 times. I can't have them in the final. They're Ole Miss. Go back. Go back where you're supposed to be.
Oh, no, they will. We just got to get past this. They're going to decline.
I needed Ohio State. Maybe Miami's better than Ohio State. I don't believe that because I'm trained not to believe that. If I had Ohio State tonight, I would feel really good. I don't. I have Miami, who lost to Louisville, and their quarterback threw 4 interceptions. I just don't.
And look, that's valid. That is super valid, and I can't disagree with you about that statement. But I think that what Miami showed you is that, well, especially that Ohio State game, they're tough. That's why I said they have to punk Ole Miss. That's the only way they can do this because they punked Ohio State.
I need to see it.
Yeah.
All right, take it or leave it.
Take it or leave it.
Take it or leave it.
Today's hottest stories in sports, news, and sometimes even Hunt's life. The question is, will he take them or leave them?
Okay, so let's start it off with a little MLB free agency. So the Red Sox are officially the only MLB club that has yet to sign a big league free agent this offseason. So are the Red Sox asleep at the wheel? Take it or leave it?
Got to take it.
I'll take it.
It makes me a little nervous about Bregman because I think the Cubs are in on that, and I would like Bregman to come at the right price. I would think the Cubs need one more bat, and Bregman would be that. But obviously, he had a good go of it in Boston and is looking for a nice deal. His swing fits that ballpark beautifully. So that makes me nervous that they may go after him, and that would leave the Cubs out in the cold. So I hope they're asleep at the wheel, and that gives the Cubs a chance. But that's not great to have not signed anybody here in the middle of January.
Yeah, that's kind of crazy. Nothing. So an 83-year-old Dallas Cowboys owner and general manager, basically everything with the Cowboys,
Yes.
Jerry Jones said he still has dreams. My goal is to retire as the owner that has won the most Super Bowls. Jones said during the offseason news press conference on Wednesday, that's my goal, to be retired in the NFL as the owner that has won the most Super Bowls. Currently, Robert Kraft has 6. Jerry Jones has, I think, 4?
No, Jerry Jones has 3.
3? Yeah, 3. So, will Jerry Jones catch Robert Kraft? Take it or
He's got to win 4 more.
He's got to win 4 more
to
with
beat
that.
him. I don't think that's going to happen.
Leave it alone.
Y'all know my record in betting. I will bet Jerry Jones does not win 4 more Super Bowls. I'm willing to make that bet.
Yeah. I think that's a good handicap, actually.
I'm a brilliant handicapper, as you know.
I think Jimmy will actually be clapping right now. if he
That's
heard
exactly
that.
right.
So, I don't know, man. I think it's still good he has dreams, but we've seen the Cowboys, they haven't made it to the NFC Championship game like 5 years before I was born.
They're the longest team in the NFC without making it. Washington made it last year.
The Lions
That makes
made
the
it a couple years
Cowboys.
back.
That means the Cowboys are the team that has gone the longest in the entire conference without playing in the NFL semifinal, without playing in the conference championship.
Yeah,
Ridiculous.
It was ridiculous because you have teams like the Carolina Panthers and the Falcons that have done it sooner than them. So let's keep it in the NFC
Jimmy's
South.
on Ole Miss +3.
Oh Lord, that was your pick.
I know it is. I don't want it. I know what my pick is. I want to lose. I'm willing to sacrifice my reputation and the public sentiment around my handicapping ability for Ole Miss to get their butts kicked tonight.
We need it. We need it bad. So
Actually, I don't need them to get their butts kicked. I need them to lose by 1 point.
you
That's
want
all
a
I'm
heartbreak.
asking for.
You want the
1
heartbreak.
point.
I'll take the heartbreak.
I'll take 50 or 49 or 48 or 47 or 46 all the way to 1.
Yeah.
Anything.
Anything.
Get them out.
Get the job done. All right, so let's keep it in NFC South. So with the Tampa Bay Bucks firing the offensive coordinator Josh Grizzard,
Yes.
Baker Mayfield's in line to play for his 8th offensive coordinator in the NFL, his 4th in 4 years in Tampa. So is Baker Mayfield the master of all offenses?
No.
Taking-
I'll leave. The
Leave it
NFC
alone.
South stinks, and the Saints need to set their attention
Are we here?
to winning the division. Now, I liked what Luke said. Don't go nuts like Washington did and overextend yourself and then put yourself in a bind and then have a terrible season. Be smart, be prudent. I realize we're talking about Mickey here,
Patience.
but chill out and see what you can do to add prudently to your roster.
Yes. some young talent, not like you said what Washington did and grabbing every old guy on the free agency market.
Marshawn Lattimore.
Yeah, that's it for take it or leave it.
All right. That's it for us here on this Thursday. Brought to you by Sagrera Farms Premium Angus Beef. Contact my guy, Sean Sagrera. He's the best. We went up and saw the farm in Ethel before we went up to Shreveport. It is gorgeous. Facilities are fantastic, and the beef is wonderful. Check them out at Sagrera Farms. Missed any of our show today? Catch it on demand wherever you find your podcast. Search Hunt Palmer Show. Matt's going to drive you home next on After Further Review. We're back tomorrow for a Friday edition, getting ready for the weekend. It's all about the U, baby. Come on, Kane.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Chevy, Fabry, Chevrolet, and GMC. Highway 61 in St. Francisville. Check them out. Need a new vehicle? How about a Chevy Suburban? How about a Chevy Silverado? How about a Tahoe? They're hot. Starting the new year off, get you new wheels. They got a huge inventory at Fabry Chevrolet GMC. Looking for a GMC? Sierras, Yukons, Denali's, they got them. You can check out the entire inventory online at FabryChevrolet.com. Make that short drive to St. Francisville. You know the Fabry family. They've been here 35 years. You know what you're going to get when you shop with the Fabrys. You're going to get incredible customer service and a wonderful buying experience. Brand new to the Fabry family is Fabry Chevrolet GMC in St. Francisville on Highway 61. So go by and see them. If you need service, they service all makes in the service department right there in St. Francisville. It's Fabry Chevrolet GMC. They're online, the entire inventory at FabryChevrolet.com.